Welcome to the Business Awareness Hour with Lisa and the Music Man. Live from Studio C, here at Media Stations in Bohemia, New York.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Business Awareness Hour. Tonight, Lisa will not be here with us, but my good friend Linda Farley will be here. Linda has filled in for Lisa many, many times, particularly on Wednesdays. I don't know how that works out, Linda. You have a better idea than I do, but that's what happens. And
all
we
due
thank her.
timing.
I'm sorry?
Everything in due timing.
Everything in due timing. So why don't you just tell everybody what it is that you do? All right, maybe something may be of interest to them.
Oh, well, my business is Cycles of Life Management Services, and I am a partner with the Beamer Corporation promoting an FDA Class 2 approved medical device called the Beamer. That's what basically I like to call it an integrative transformational coach, because I don't believe in a cookie cutter
Sounds like Star
type
Trek.
Everybody is unique and they have their own issues. So I help people to navigate the ebbs and flows of life. How's that, Norm?
Well, we're going to ebb and flow our life tonight with
We are indeed.
Tina Huggins. Tina, welcome. You are a divorce coach specialist. Welcome to the Business Awareness Hour.
Welcome,
Norm.
Tina.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do as a divorce coach. What does that really mean?
Well, a lot of people don't understand what a divorce coach is, so I kind of explain it in the fact that we understand what a wedding planner is. They're everything wedding, from the cake to the venue. Well, I'm everything divorce. From the beginning past the end of the divorce, I help you after everything's all over to get on your feet, and a lot of times with parenting issues and help you go through that kind of stuff. The differences actually are the money, where a wedding planner siphons money from you. I work to keep money with you. So when I do that, kind of through just helping you through communication, specifically with your attorney, if we can cut the time down that you're working with your attorney, then your attorney doesn't have to deal with your emotions and they can get to do the legal stuff that they're trained to do.
I was wondering how when you mentioned something about keeping the money, how you were going to plan on doing it. Having been one of those people that you probably would have been of great value to back 20 some odd years ago, and we had discussed this at an earlier meeting that we had. You specialize your work with men, correct, versus women?
Yes, I have women clients, but I focus my work towards men because there's not as much support out there for them. Mm-hmm. And I work in the high conflict arena. So specifically when the client is divorcing a narcissistic person. So that's what I focus my work on.
So an actual, I'll say, personality blip, for lack of a better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have to study all of that to try to make sure that I'm always up with all of the understandings and the terms, everything there.
Do you go to like meetings with them, like a mediator in between? When they're talking.
I can. I'm a restorative circle facilitator, and so that means that I can help them in communication and things like that together. I'm also a restorative family mediator, but that position is completely neutral as the facilitator is, where as a divorce coach, I'm not a neutral. I work with one person. A neutral works with everybody, and I'm trained not to just work with the husband and wife or the couple that is divorcing, but the whole family. So I can work with the in-laws, the outlaws, the children, everybody.
Yeah, because it does affect everybody, right?
Yes.
With Tina, I mean, it's
Definitely.
not just, between the two people that can't get along.
There's
there's so many components.
The thing that bothered me the worst at that particular time were the kids.
Yes.
That would, my wife and I, we had our issues. That's great. We could take care of those, but the kids are way too young, and they were in college. Two of them were seniors. I have twin girls, were seniors in high school. The other one was a sophomore in college, and to tell them, just to tell them what was going on. And you know, it's interesting. And Lisa, I'm Tina. They knew it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kids are so aware, you know, and this was not yesterday. This was, you know, 20 some odd 25 years ago or so when I got
Yeah.
divorced, but they were so aware. They knew that there were issues,
Yeah. My oldest told me when I left their dad, "Why didn't you do this sooner, Mom?"
right?
And then I was an adult child, and I don't remember how my parents, if they ever told me, but I knew it was coming years before it came.
So your
Right.
parents had gone through that, you've gone through that, and hopefully your kids will never go through that.
Let's hope not.
All right? Now you've been
Yeah.
doing this for how long? How long have you?
Well, I have been a coach for over 30 years. Because of circumstances and being involved in several situations, my father's situation where he almost got murdered was one of those. So over the course of time frame, I re-niched my coaching into just divorce. And so I've been a divorce coach for just over 3 years now.
And can I ask a question with that?
Hmm.
Uh, normally when you have a personal situation, right, someone's close to you, so you're feeling that. But when it came to, what was the switch? Was it because there's something, it's almost like they put the stake in the ground, they say, "Oh, I got to do this." What made you switch other than the fact that it was your father's situation?
So my father's situation happened much earlier. And I knew that that was a situation that was a dire need for me to help get him out of that relationship. But what
Mhm.
happened that actually did that switch is I was working with an attorney doing paper investigation on my now husband's divorce. And that paper investigation, I realized because I had coached divorcing couples lots, but I wasn't a certified divorce coach at that time. And what happened is there was several situations where I'd say, well, why don't we do A, B, or C? And the divorce attorney looked at me like a deer in the headlights, like he'd never heard of this. I'm like, this is horrible. And my now husband went through an extremely emotional, abusive, physical abusive, just every kind of abuse you can imagine. And that divorce lasted 7 years from start to finish. It's still not done. And when it hits April, it'll be 10 years. So when I was in the middle of that, I'm just like, there's got to be a different way. So that's when I started hunting up divorce coaches.
Is
Mo-
that where, because the word narcissistic comes to mind, because
Yes.
they can't let go.
Hmm.
So is that why do you feel, is that why it lasted as long as it did? Because of a
Yes.
narcissistic personality?
Narcissists can't let go. And if you read any work from Bill Eddy, he talks about how their brain functions different than our brain. The blood flow from the left hemisphere to the right hemisphere is not the same. So they can't, and they just can't let go of things.
Yeah,
They
I can
don't like
appreciate that.
resolution. Yeah.
my
Yeah,
my
sure.
ex went to an attorney that it was notorious out where we live for handling divorces and being a real son of a gun about him, especially to the men. And he
Mm,
accused me of every possible thing that I could be accused of, because the clock kept on ticking, even though he
Mhm.
knew it wasn't true. Like he had insinuated that I had a summer home in a location where I wouldn't walk in the middle of the day, you
mm.
know, without worrying about my life. And he knew the area. We were all from the same area. But he kept on beating on it and beating on it. And you were talking about years. Your husband, I think, 7 years.
Hmm.
I was 12.
Yeah.
12.
Nasty
And then we
stuff.
went and we settled on the original deal that was made in the very, very beginning. That's why I'm saying I could have really used your help back then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
It's,
Tina, don't you find, I mean, it's almost like there's something unethical in allowing a case like these to elongate over because look at how many people are hurting.
Yep.
And we only have so much time on the earth, right? So it just seems like there should be some type of policy that is put in place so that attorneys don't milk the system, so to speak. And I probably shouldn't say that, but it
No, it's
just
not that it's
feels
not
like
true. In the middle of my case, without even telling me, the attorney changed his fee. He changed his hourly rate. And then we had what to do, about that, with not even informing, not a word to me except when I saw the invoice. And he wanted a payment. And then
Yeah.
he
so
also,
maybe we need more divorce coaches like Tina.
exactly.
Maybe you could teach some classes, Tina. Workshops, certify people.
I actually am a mentor for the school that I got certified from, so I do kind of do a little bit of teaching there. And with what you were saying, Norm and Linda, it's most attorneys they're not money suckers. But what happens is, like in the situation with my husband, is that because he didn't have a coach and I wasn't in there, I was doing whatever I was doing with the attorney. Every time that there was some emotional outburst from his soon to be ex, he would have an emotional outburst. So he would head right over to the attorney, and the attorney would drop everything and have a 2-hour meeting. And we don't charge by the hour as an attorney, or they don't. It's by the minute. So a minute increments, there's certain increments that, depending on how they charge for those increments. So he spent over $300,000 with that first attorney just to get the permanent orders, which then were not finalized. So it's just all that kind of stuff that takes place.
That's crazy.
That's
crazy. The first I'm hearing that.
Well, here's more crazy and totally illegal. We have gone to a mediator. We had a very easy case to wind up doing, in my opinion. We agreed on the money. We agreed on where we were going to be, where we were going to live, the kids. It was all good until we met this mediator. And this mediator became very, very good friends with my ex. And, of course, the mediator was really good friends with the judge.
Ugh.
So you can draw your own conclusion, and you're 100% right. That's exactly
going back to ethics.
Exactly what happened. And if I knew all of this during the course of the case, I certainly would have created a new case. But it's not just on me. I mean, how many new people do you see a week?
And it depends on the time of year. Right now, January is divorce filing month. So we have more filings during January than we have all year long. So you might see, I've been seeing about 3 a day, and sometimes it's just 3 a week.
Could you elaborate? I didn't realize January.
Why January?
What is the thought behind? I didn't think, it's just in January. I would think that divorce is divorce. It doesn't matter what month. So could you elaborate a little bit more for our audience on that?
Sure. So there's different thoughts about it. Some people think that the filing happened much earlier, and because of the holidays, they got postponed until January. But if you talk with people, what they say, especially with women, is they didn't want to file before Christmas because of the children. They didn't want their kids to have a bad holiday. So they go through Thanksgiving, and then they go through Christmas and into New Year, and then boom, they start their filing process. That's what I see.
Oh, so it's starting the filing process. It's not getting the final divorce decree.
No, it's starting it.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was like, what is it there? Oh, January is the magical month. But I could appreciate what you're saying, because I have read articles about, because I'm an end-of-life doula, double certified end-of-life doula, and people will wait until after the holidays to die. And the reason being is because they don't want that stigma attached to, so every year the family would be heartbroken because their family member died during the holidays.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been there and helped people pass, and that is so true. Working through hospice, you see that. It's the same kind of thing. Nobody wants the kids or family members to remember that, so they wait.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's play a little game, if we can call it that. I'm the potential client of you. I get referred to you from maybe another attorney, from someone who used your services, from a networking group like that. And I call you up and I say, "Hi, Tina, my name is Norman, and I need to sit down and talk to you." Do I bring papers with me? Is there anything you want to know? Just come to my office and we'll have a conversation. How does it work?
Well, I work all virtually. I work throughout the US, Canada, and in England. Um, the first meeting I have, I work a system. I'm not just a coach that sits down and just lets things run most of the time. So I have a system. So I have some questions that I ask you. I want to know about you. I want to know about your kids. I want to know a little bit about your situation, why you called and why now versus some other time. And then I explain to you who I am. I kind of talk a little bit about my certifications because I have a lot that's related to divorce, and then some that just help me through that process. And then I explain to you how I work with you, where I help you with the emotional stuff. I'm always here. I work a little bit differently than most coaches. I charge a flat rate fee either for a month or a package of months, and then we can talk unlimitedly. So we can talk as many times during a week or a day as you might need to, as long as I have the time. You also have 24/7 text ability. So if you're up worrying about something at 2 a.m., you can text that to me. And as soon as I am able, then we will find a time to talk about that situation. To me, it's about being there. If I'm going to support you, I want to support you as best as I can. And that is, to me, the way that works best.
How serious have some of these cases have been psychologically for either the husband or the wife? How crazy does it get?
Um, well, in one circumstance, we had animals that were tortured and killed specifically on days that were key days before courts and things like that. I've been on the phone. My background comes from law enforcement. So if I have a client who's in danger and they call me, I can get law enforcement on the other phone. And I talk the law enforcement too. I explain to my client. I have some clients that are just totally not able to communicate or get things done. They work with a therapist. I am working with the therapist to work with the client. There are just a mirage of things. The thing with my dad is my dad was shot at and then driven over with a dually pickup truck,
By his
breaking the
ex?
most, what's that?
By his ex?
By his ex at the time they were together,
Hmm.
they were married. And she broke the scapula, the shoulder blade, which is the most difficult bone in the body to break because it's flat. And when I picked him up out of the hospital, I mean, I see tire prints on his back. And my dad he was a cowboy. He's still with us, but he's not cowboying anymore. So he was a rough, tough person. And he would never hit a woman. So this is how come all this stuff would happen to him. And they just use that, and they turned him into the cops, who would call me and say, "Hey, we know he didn't do what they're saying, but we don't have a choice. We have to arrest him." So then I'd have to go and get him out of jail. These types of things happen on a regular basis. We had one case last year. I wasn't working the case, but one of the financial people that I work with, her client was murdered by her
Mm.
boyfriend because she was wanting to break up and get out of that situation. Murdered. And so she had to handle that whole thing. So we're looking at anything from emotional abuse clear up to attempted murder.
Is there any
We
reason?
actually
Is there any
we
reason that?
actually had a family member that kind of like what you're saying, right? The wife was always the dutiful wife, and she managed to befriend another woman, and the woman was like, "What are you doing?" And she was hurt on this company's property, and The following Monday, she was to get her settlement. And the husband not only killed her, shot her friend,
Mm.
which, in the shoulder and shattered that and then killed himself.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like when you hear stories like that, you don't know what they're thinking. And I remember having a conversation with her saying, well, aren't you afraid? Because he was an avid hunter and he had gone to court and all the guns was to be removed from the house.
Hmm.
And his brother-in-law takes him out hunting and conveniently, well, I don't want to hurt him. So I'm going to let him take the gun. And that was the gun that he only had 3 bullets. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah.
There's
So it
always
was a sad.
a story that a man should never hit a woman, and I'm
Hmm.
sure, Tina, that you can non-justify that. Is there that as some of the stories that you're even saying, when is it really justified for a husband to hit a wife? Is it when she pulls a gun on you or a knife? Does it have to get to that degree?
Yeah, so now we're going into another one of my backgrounds. So I was a self-defense instructor and I've worked with the FBI and trained a little bit in handgun and handgun safety or self-defense, I guess, handgun self-defense. And so the reality of that is when a man touches a woman, you've got to know no matter what the situation is, you're going to be in trouble. It's now how do you work the documentation to prove that you were doing this in self-defense. So you have to prove that this was in self-defense. And so the only way to prove this, and this is sad, is that you got to document everything that happens before all of this happens. So
How do you
for
do that?
months or years, you have to document that stuff. And so that you have proof, turn it into the cops, do all of this stuff so that when something happens, then you're protected by all of your past issues that you've taken care of.
So, in addition to
But
the
also
martial
with
arts training that you do,
Mhm.
what other training have you gone through, whether it be classroom training or on the job training? What other things have you done?
Mm.
Um, in relation to all this, like I said, I'm a fifth degree black belt. And so I've done since I was 10 years old, I was involved in martial arts training. I have fought professionally. That sounds way more cool than what it really
Does sound
was.
pretty cool.
Whenever you fight for money, you have to call it professional. So I fought for money. So I've done all of that. I have taught self-defense in battered women's shelters because my background comes from law enforcement there. I helped women get out of abusive homes, women and children. And in one such case, we had to put them underground. When we put them underground, we don't know anything. We just give them to those people and those people take care of them.
Right.
Um, we have to do that kind of stuff occasionally to help people get out of this abuse and to keep them safe. And so my training there, and then like I said, I have trained a little bit with the FBI and that type of stuff in the self-defense realm. And I've actually taught classes in Europe on self-defense. Working through all of that, my training in divorce coaching. I'm a certified divorce coach. I'm certified in recovery and transition. So that's what helps the end of the divorce. I'm certified as a life coach. And then, like I said, I've got the mediation and the family circle stuff that I'm trained in as well.
Do you get the exes on a constant basis? Do you have a technique which can keep them friends or make them friends after this is all over?
Well, most of the people that I work with, they don't want to be friends. They don't want to ever see their spouse again.
Right.
If they don't have to, they don't. So basically, what I do with those people, because if they have children, they're going to have to either co-parent together or, parallel parent is what most of them have to do. And so I just work with them on communication skills. And a lot of the skills that I learn come from Tina Swithin, who also teaches a divorce class, and she she has a lot of great information on how to communicate. And so a lot of my training comes from studying all of Tina Swithin's work. And so I help my clients learn how to communicate. And a lot of times that communication is not communicating so that they don't have conflict between the two of them. Because as you know, Norm, that when you try to communicate with somebody like that, it just goes sideways all over again.
Yeah. You know. Now this other Tina.
Mhm.
Okay. I have no. Being that I'm not in your industry and such, there's really no reason for me to know who she would be. But could you tell us who and what she does?
Well, she went through a really horrible divorce herself. And her children were real small, and so she's written several books, and her books have got her story in it. That's how I know most of this. And then some of the divorce coaches that I work with they're either working with Tina, teaching classes for her, or they have been through her courses. So she basically lived through it and used her knowledge and the skills, and she's changing the law in California to be supportive of women specifically, but men too, of the abuse and the coercion that takes place from a parent to a child.
Sorry for that. The phone started to ring. Um, I'm sorry. I'm
Changing the law in California.
got it.
Yeah, so changing the law in California and working with the coercion that takes place from one parent to a child, where they're telling the children that the other parent is wrong or doing things wrong. So that is really where Tina Swithin works the most at,
Gotcha.
trying to work through the courts there.
And how's the
Mm.
best way for people to get in touch with you? Let's everybody know how to get in touch with Tina.
Okay, so they can email me at Coach Tina Lynn, okay, and it's TINALYNN at Gmail. And then my phone number is 719-580-6684. And that's a text line as well, so they could text me there. They can also look up my information on my website, which is divorcecoachspecialist.com.
Okay, we thank you for that. Do you specialize in any part of divorce?
I specialize in high conflict, and high conflict. A lot of people don't understand the high conflict. They think fighting is high
I
conflict.
would think that.
Everybody fights when they first start through the divorce. That's normal conflict. It's when that conflict continues to escalate or lasts an extended period of time where we call that high conflict. Those situations are usually one or both can be narcissistic partners. And I work with the side that is dealing with the abuse. So I work with the abused, not the abuser.
Now, when one gets divorced, and there's always a fight about the kids. You
Mhm.
know, who's going to be with whom, the holidays, the vacations. And is that really, because as I said earlier, my kids were older and it was a different story, but they weren't young. You know, they weren't 7, 8 year olds, 10 year olds. They were
Mhm.
older. How intricate is that really a problem, or do parents make it a problem? If I say
Well,
I want Y and she only wants to do B, and she knows that I really want Y, and she insists, no, you can't have Y, you know.
yes, the parents can make it a bigger problem than it is. But usually, especially in a high conflict situation, the kids become one of the biggest problems. So the kids, the house, and if they have a lot of money in savings. Those are the three things that become the biggest issues, with the kids being the biggest. And so this is when my mediation skills come into play, where I'm able to work with my client to get them. We want to get as close to 50-50 as we can, unless there's abuse. When there's abuse, then we have to do our best to work with the attorney that needs to understand. You can't just go out and get any attorney when you're dealing with domestic violence or extreme abuse from a narcissistic person. Your attorney needs to be a litigative attorney, and they need to have experience and understand what a narcissistic person is and how they work. Because that was the problem in my husband's case, is that he had just an attorney, a family law attorney, and he had never seen a narcissist before. He had never dealt with any of these things before. And so that's why it went on for 7 years. If he had been able to do what needed to be done, what a litigative lawyer will do, and he would have been able to push the divorce further. But like you had talked about earlier, in the mediator being the bad guy, in the fact that he knew your ex and the judge and everything. So my husband dealt with the same kind of thing in a different direction, where the mediator let his ex guide everything. So instead of it being a mediation, it was a financial document disclosure mediation, and that's not what it was set up for. And then that went 8 hours, and absolutely not one thing got done in 8 hours. And then he turned into an arbiter, and in 9 months, nothing, not one thing got done in 9 months. And so during that time, he was paying, both of them were paying and paying and paying. So that's where some of that money went for the $300,000.
Well, we have to
So
raise...
can I ask a question? Oh, what are we doing?
No,
Can I
go
ask a
ahead,
question
ask
first?
your
now?
question, go ahead.
Okay. What about individuals who have been divorced and still having issues with the children and being brought back to court and such like that? Do you help those individuals as well?
Yes, I have a couple of clients right now that are going through that, been divorced for several years, and now we're redoing parenting plans. So yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well,
All right,
I have a
go ahead,
plan
Rick.
that I have to do right now, and it's called raise some money so I can pay for this program. So we're going to take a little break for the next minute or two, and we'll be right back, folks.
My name is Lisa Rodino. I am a commercial loan advisor and broker. Have you been finding that your business's cash flow is not where you need it to be? Have you found yourself taking from your personal accounts to meet your business's obligations? Have you found that those quick solutions of quick money are starting to get awfully expensive? My job is to find the right funding products for my clients so they can get back to working in their business and give me the task of finding the best options for their situation. Give us a call today to learn more. 516-268-0350.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friend Entertainment USA. My name is Norman Wasserman. I am also known as the Music Man. Let me just tell you a little bit about Friend Entertainment. We put on concerts for charities, and we do that everywhere from New York to Las Vegas. We do R&B, Motown, rock and roll, jazz, whatever it is that you wish. Friend Entertainment will deliver the best of the best for you and your charity. Here are some of the names of the talent that have performed with us on our stage. Stevie Wonder, Tina Turner, The Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, the one and only ELO, Elton John himself, Kool and the Gang, and the fabulous Donna Summer. Go to our website, friendentusa.com. That's www.friendentusa.com, or feel free to call us at 631-698-9696. 631-698-9696, and we'll see you at the next show.
All right, welcome back to the Business Awareness Hour with our guest, Tina Huggins, who is a very, very special divorce mediator. How much competition or how many other people do what you do in the country?
We have, I think now, 4 divorce coaching schools, and as far as I know, there's only 2 of us
Really?
that are certified divorce coaches and restorative family mediators.
That is
So
so
that's
great.
restorative is different than regular mediation. So restorative makes a key point on restoring things. We can't bring the couple back together, but we do want the couple to divorce and divorce well enough that they can communicate good about the children and upcoming weddings or birthdays and holidays that are getting ready to happen where both of them might be in close proximity to each other. So
Mhm.
most mediations are just traditional mediation, which is what we would know, and restorative works more like the Indian talking stick aspect.
Now, this other person, does she conduct her business in the same manner as such as you, or what makes her unique in your industry?
I don't know exactly how she works. We work together in a domestic violence. Well, we work together on a mediation team, and then she's helping me put together a program for the domestic violence mediators. But what makes me different from everybody else is the way that I work. I have a system, and I don't know any other divorce coaches that have a system where they work their system.
Are you
So
at
depending on
liberty? Are you at liberty to discuss your system?
Yes. Depending on where you're at, if you're just thinking about divorce, then we start there. That's where the system starts and goes all the way through. But if you're in the middle of divorce, I have a questionnaire that tells me exactly where you're at in the middle of that divorce. And then we don't work on this part, then we come here and we take that for the rest of the divorce. And we just go through. Now, if they come in after the divorce, it's the same thing. My questionnaire tells me where they're at the end of their divorce and what their major issues are. And then I work from there. That is how I work directly with the client, but we also let the client gauge other conversations that are just based around the distress that they're having.
Question. Divorce is very expensive. And you better think twice, 3 times, if not more, all right, whether you really want to do this. How many times do people walk into your office? And I just want to ask you a question, Tina. You know, if I do this or I do that, you're smiling. If I do this or I do that, what kind of money is this going to run? By your answer, does somebody possibly go and say, I'm sure they do, I don't know if I'm going to be ready for this, you know, and it's not just the money. Of course, it's the money. All right, it's a lot. You mentioned before about your ex, $300,000, and he wasn't close to being done yet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sick.
And you're right. There are people that come to me and just want a question answered. And I can do that if it's just one thing, but the way that my system starts, that's usually not, that doesn't come up in that direction, because answering a question, I can't give advice. I'm not an attorney. That is not what I do. I help you understand the process. I help you understand the documents that are coming to you. I help you understand what's coming next and prepare for what's coming next.
Don't sell yourself short. All right. You know, you may not be a lawyer, you might not have a law degree, whatever. But you've been around these people. You know, people have asked you certain questions. You've answered. You've asked others questions about, and you've been doing this, like you said, for 30 years. All right. You're the goods. You're the reason why you're on this show, to create awareness, you know, for you. So people sitting watching this show now are in the situation that they need your help. I can't understand, you know, having been there, done that. I'm picking up the phone right away and calling you if I'm sitting out there and I have that situation.
Yes, a lot of people, they think that paying for a coach and an attorney is just extra money out of the pocket. Well, if they paid, you know, for my services, then I can help their communication with their attorney. Most of the times, attorney-client meetings are an hour. A lot of times we talk things through, we get things organized, we get a meeting agenda for our clients. They can cut that hour down by 30 minutes or maybe even more sometimes. That's where the savings comes in.
Do you attend these meetings with your clients?
I can, if, you know, the attorney has, and each state has a little bit different rules. So there are, like, I just have a client recently that signed the document so that I can be included on all the communication from the attorney.
Like a HIPAA.
Yes, it's very much like the HIPAA.
All right, I think what we're going to do now, and what do you think, Linda? I think we should go to the website.
Okay,
Let's
we
go to
can
the
do that.
website and let's take a look at this
All right, let me get there.
Okay. Tina, if you can go
Okay.
there too, or you probably know your website inside and out.
I haven't been on it for a while.
Well, let me refresh you to it.
I can probably
So,
get to it
so
faster.
yeah, so the headline says toxic narcissistic spouse or ex frustrated, overwhelmed,
All in
and don't
questions.
know what's next. Exactly. So is that just saying to everyone out there that the only people that you work with or work against, or however you want to phrase it, are toxic narcissistic spouses?
I work with those who are dealing with those. So I take the one who's being abused by the toxic narcissistic spouse.
So those are your primary clients. Would that be a
Yes.
good assumption? Okay, good.
Yes.
But would you take on any people that are
Yes.
just okay?
Those are real easy cases. So those are easy for me. And it doesn't take us as much time. Normally, I have those people done within 3 months because it usually takes, each state has a waiting period, and usually 3 months is it. So we usually have them done within 3 months.
Can you actually do a divorce for somebody, or must you be an attorney?
Yeah, you have to be an attorney. Now you can do your own divorce, and I can kind of talk you through parts and pieces of it, but I can't give any legal advice.
You can do your own divorce, Tina?
Yep, you can file your own
Just like you can
divorce.
be a lawyer for yourself in court.
Mm-hmm. Sure can.
So help me and the audience understand that if you can actually coach someone, it's suppose someone didn't have enough money to really pay for an attorney and wanted to do all the work themselves,
Mm-hmm.
then you can actually coach someone to make sure the paperwork is filled out correctly.
I can sit down with them while they're filling the paperwork out. If they're doing it online, we can do a screen share and I can look right at what they're doing and we can talk about everything. This is something that most people, they're so afraid of legal documents that that's one of the reasons why they won't do things on their own. If they're not going to fight with their spouse and they're going to agree on everything, that's the perfect way to do it. I just talk them through everything, and we have to understand, like I said, they're so afraid of that mistakes. If you really knew how many mistakes a lawyer makes on one document, you wouldn't be afraid at all of making a little mistake. You just want to make sure that everything's together. And what I recommend with those clients is that we get everything together and they take it in and have a lawyer look it over. That way they know that everything is good, and then they can send it in. Some people don't have a lawyer look it over, but that is my recommendation.
I have to tell you,
Yep.
in regards to what you do for a living, this website is excellent.
Well, thank you.
It's very self-explanatory.
Not
It's
just
very
that, the coloring.
focused.
This is a black and
Oh
white
yeah,
situation. This is not a la-di-da situation. You
yeah,
know, oranges
yeah.
and greens and blues. You know, that's for a business. That's for a finance company. And you're playing with somebody's multiple lives when you're going
Mm-hmm.
through a divorce. And to see this black and white, are you losing your mind? Should you
Hmm.
get? Are you kidding me? That's perfect.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
lost my mind a long time ago.
Good point there, Norm.
You know,
Have you ever had any of your clients out of fear decide not to do something?
Out of fear. So we've got multiple things that happen when there when there's fear involved, whether it's fear for their life or fear for the court or what the judge is going to say, or a fear of losing something. So
Mhm.
when they have that fear, yeah, there's lots of mistakes that can be made, and that's important. Where I come in is I help calm that fear down, because this is a time that you have to make decisions that are going to affect you for the rest of your life. And if
Right.
you don't make those decisions with your head and you're making them with your fear or any other emotion, then this is where my divorce come in. And I haven't talked about that, but I was in an abusive situation, got my hand broke, leg dislocated, ribs
really?
separated. Oh yeah. And so those are types of times when you're when you are in the midst of all of that and you're having to make decisions, you make rash decisions. And my decisions affected me. They affect me now. It's been 21 years and they're still affecting me because I just wanted out and I didn't ask for anything. I got 3 pieces of furniture, the clothes, some of my clothes, my car, and debt. He got the 40 acres, the house, and the
40
other
acres?
vehicles. Yeah,
Was that just
40
an
acres.
expression?
No, that was 40 acres.
Oh my.
Yeah, he got it all. And it's because I didn't know anything. Back then, there was no such thing as divorce coaches. And so I don't want anybody to go through what I did. That was just a time where I was so afraid. And I wasn't afraid of the physical harm because, like I said, I was a professional fighter. You could punch me and it was like smelling salts. That would be okay. But to yell at me, that was just, it was like, it just took me into a place of PTSD. Anybody that
Oh.
would raise their voice and yell, I just would shut down.
You have
So
a,
you can actually understand another person's fear then.
Yes,
You know,
definitely.
they would
You've been there,
rather
done
they
that.
would rather tolerate the abuse than do anything about it.
You know, I'm
Right.
looking at
Yeah.
this picture of this man, and it's like he's in deep thought. And it says, "You want to be happy again." Hell, that is so true, but it takes so long if you ever get to that point.
hmm
You know, it's just like there is bereavement counseling when one goes through divorce. They actually offer bereavement counseling.
Oh, they do? I didn't know
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea.
This is one of the most tragic situations you're going to go through. Linda, God willing, you never have and you never will go through a divorce, but it's not a good thing.
No, 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 no.
Going on 49 years. I
Amen.
don't think so.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you want to make the right decision. You don't want to spend every penny fighting, for the divorce. This is so true. I mean, it's as if I'm writing it. You want the negativity in your life to go away. You want the stress to end, and financially it will end to a degree.
Maybe.
But your mind, it doesn't end in your mind
No,
No.
it's in your mind forever.
ever.
And having counseling is a really good thing. And being able to work with a coach that can help you as you start the healing process. And once you start that healing process, having a coach there to be able to bounce things off, because so many people are afraid of getting a new job, moving to a new place.
Mhm.
My husband moved all the way from Colorado to Arkansas so that he was out of the state his ex lived in. That's how bad he wanted away from her.
Mm. So could you give us a couple stories? I imagine, in over the 30 years that you've been in business, you have some
Interesting
pretty
stories.
amazing, interesting stories. Which ones stand out? Could you share it with us in the audience?
So it's kind of a multitude of things. I think my husband's story is the one that stands out the most to me. And he and I actually have just started a TV show called Awakening, and it's on the Going Solo Network. And we're talking about his and my situations. And, with all of the abuse, I mean, you name it, he went through that kind of abuse and still going through the legal abuse and financial abuse that she's causing. And then we go to my dad's story where his second wife, the one he got with, after he was married to my mom, that situation there alone where he was shot at and then driven over, and part of it, if he could wrap himself up and say, okay, I need to own my side of that, he might have been able to fix that, because I don't believe she was a narcissist. And then what he got with after, they followed suit. The first one turned him into the cops, and then the second one followed suit. She threw him so hard up against a doorknob that he passed out for 2 hours, I was told.
Really?
And this is because there was somebody in the home that saw this. And then I saw him a few days later. I already knew, and he was limping. When I asked him what happened, he lied about it. He actually told me that he fell in his pickup truck because there was hay and there was a ball that stuck up for the trailer.
Well, why
And he
was
said
he
he fell
lying?
on
Why
that
was
ball.
he lying to you?
That is a normal thing. He couldn't admit that this was abuse.
Oh,
He couldn't admit it. So he would lie through it until I would sit him down and I would talk to him and tell him what I knew and everything. He had no understanding of it, and he had no understanding of drugs, and he kept marrying these girls younger. The one he's with now is 6 months younger than I am. And the aspect of that is he got with that on that third one, he got with her and she was doing drugs and cooking drugs in his home. He had never seen drugs before.
really?
So he had no clue. So he actually blamed it on the drugs. And I wasn't even allowed to go see him because she had threatened to kill me.
So your father's been married how many times?
He's on his fourth.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm
it
on my
sounds like
second,
his father could use a
I've had it.
coach.
Yes, he just kept because he doesn't know, and that is one of the things in the healing process is we have to work on the individual. If we don't work on the person leaving them, they'll find somebody else just like them because
Oh,
subconsciously they tell themselves they need to have this punishment.
mm-hmm.
Didn't you?
Yes,
You
indeed.
started telling me a story about something in England when you with a black belt, something or other. Do you remember that?
So yeah, I was sent to England to teach martial arts to our service members over there, actually. So I went in and I was teaching them, and let me tell you, these guys were very, very smart. They worked on an army base and just intelligent beyond intelligent, but they couldn't even do a somersault. So I'm teaching them this, and I'm working and working and working, and finally I had just had enough, and I left the gym, walked out, and the instructor comes out and he's like, what can I do to make them better? And I just turned around and told him, I said, you go back in there and tell them that this little girl said they suck and that they need to grow some and get better.
Well, did they
So
grow
what
those?
was
Did they grow those little apples or what?
I don't know. I never actually
You
got
never went
to
back
go
there to
back to
find
that
out.
one. Yep,
Okay.
never went back.
You know, I'm reading some of
that?
your testimonials here that you know, there aren't many, but you don't need many when they sound like this. You know, it's crazy. It's you know, having been there, done that. It brings tonight. It's bringing back a lot of angry memories.
Mm, yeah, that can come up really easy.
Mm,
I've
Well,
done a
I
lot of
want
work
people to
since
get
I've
in touch with you. So how are they going to get in touch with you, Tina?
Okay, so they can email me, which is probably the easiest way to do things, which is Coach Tina Lynn, and that is TINALYNN at gmail.com. Or they could call and leave a message or text me at 719 580 6684. And that's American code 1719 580 6684.
I think Linda had asked you before about if you have any special events coming up or such. If you do, you want to repeat them, or if you haven't mentioned anything yet, and you have some events like your TV show that you got, tell everybody how do they listen in?
Okay, so the TV show can be found on YouTube. It's on Roku and other ones, but I know how to find it on YouTube. And it's under Going Solo Network Live Huggins. Just look up Huggins, Huggins, and you can find the shows that we've done. It's a brand new show, and as we continue, you'll get to hear lots of stories about living with, dating a narcissist, divorcing a narcissist. You'll hear from the beginning past the end.
How long is each episode? A half hour, 30?
Each show is about 30 minutes
30
long.
minutes. Okay,
hmm
that's good stuff. Well, I really want to thank you for being here. Is there anything else you want to address? Anything new since you wrote this thing and we've gone over it? Anything new that's happened that you want to bring up?
I don't really think so. You know, we talked about my restorative family mediation, which has been new since I did that. I belong to a mediation team, and we're working at trying to get divorce coaches in the mediation team. specifically in the domestic violence ones that we're working on, because I also belong into a domestic violence mediation team. And inside there, we work at trying to get these coaches in there to support the process and to keep the process moving, because mediation, people can come to an impasse so easy. And with a coach, it's less likely that they'll come to an impasse and not be able to find an alternate direction to go.
Do you ever think about being an adjunct professor?
No, I have not.
Well, think about it. And I want to know your thoughts. No,
Well-
because you have all these skills, especially the experience, on both sides of the table. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I think
I do.
that's not that you need something else, but I think that would be one day when you decide you had enough of this or that. That might be a way to go. But I wanted to thank you so much for being here tonight. We've waited a long time,
Yes.
to be on the show, but it was all worthwhile. And I thank you for being here, and I look
Thank you,
forward to
Norm and
seeing you
Linda.
soon. I'm sure I'll run into you on NRG someplace. Linda,
Yes,
I
sir.
want to thank you for co-hosting tonight, as always. And
Always a pleasure.
I know you'll have a few more dates coming up, and I look forward to that. Tina, don't go away. Stay just where you are. I just want to say goodnight to everybody. Again, Lisa, I'm sorry. Whoa, Linda.
It's past his bedtime.
Yeah, absolutely. Linda, how do people get in touch with you and find out about this Beamer machine?
Oh, easy. Cyclesoflife.beamergroup.com. That's my website, and feel free, especially if people are under stress. That's what the Beamer does, is takes them out of stress and puts them into parasympathetic mode. So they are able, Tina, they are able to make more conscientious decisions in a calmer state with the Beamer.
Mhm.
It's pretty
Awesome.
impressive.
All right. Well, thank everybody for being here tonight, for all
Yes,
the
thank everybody.
followers, for tuning in and watching us again this evening. And we'll see you all next Tuesday. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
The Business Awareness Hour with Lisa and the Music Man is brought to you by Media Stations in Bohemia, New York. Create your own media and have your own station. That's Media Stations in Bohemia, New York. 516-448-2066 or visit mediastation